doubt it's a double D.
Right? You are not sure. These days, you never know.
I doubt it's a double D.
We will check.
Because it's,
You know him?
it's only one D in the Bible.
You know him?
No, I don't.
What do you know? We will check.
I think
Yeah.
Look at his email address, it's only one thing.
Maybe the email that he used to and you got rejected. You never know. Why take it?
Question mark.
Yeah. Any corrections on the minutes page 1? Number 37.
The date is
Okay. What is it? Is it 81 or 1998? Alright, you know. It's 81. So we cancel 19. Is it Dolores or Dolores?
this one now.
Do you know what it's Dolores or Dolores? Is it E?
Sounds like an E.
No, it should be R, but it's pronounced the word.
Sorry?
It should be R, but it's pronounced the word.
The pronunciation is different from the spelling.
But the spelling is cool. You are sure?
Yeah.
You know it? Or you are guessing?
Usually.
With names, these days,
Yeah, because
okay. Thank you very much. So let's move to the minutes. Yeah. Any corrections on page 1? Page 2. Aggressive Island, I hope you are your present and paying attention because we have issues in the minute. Any corrections on page 2? Page 3.
Hello.
Yes.
Sorry, Accra President. Section 5, or item 5, completion and acceptance of previous meetings minutes. The second line reads of the previous minutes meeting, of the previous meetings minutes, and that was seconded. That word there, and was seconded. I think there's a TH that's intruding. Okay.
After reading, Accra Kwesi of move for the acceptance of the previous meeting's minutes and was seconded.
Yes.
Okay.
That's word there. Okay. And then 6-1. 6-1 line 7.
6-1, yeah.
Yes, line 7. It talks about the year groups had promised to furnish the 4 pavilions with benches at a cost of 7,200 each. Is it referring to the benches or to the cost of the year group? Can we make that clear, please? Are you with me?
yes. This is a U.
Are you with me?
Yes, okay. I mean, it was 7,200 per pavilion. That's what I understood.
So, yes, so I think we need to make that clear.
Okay.
As it is, it comes across as if it is per bench. Okay. And then in that section as well, and overall, can we always have year groups, capital Y, capital G? Since we are actually targeting specific groupings and not just the descriptive. Okay. And then 6-2.
Yeah, so we are
6-2 second paragraph. 6-2 second paragraph. It talks about data, where it says now where is it? 6-2 second paragraph.
Data was
It refers to data and then says data were instead of was.
Actually, it should be the executive secretary assured the meeting that data collected would be treated with confidentiality. Yes. It should be would be.
Okay. Yes, okay. 7-0, if there's nothing else from somebody else.
Which one? 7 yes.
7-0.
Yes.
Yeah. 7-0, line 2 had been done virtually since the pandemic broke out. Okay.
Yeah.
Or since the outbreak of the pandemic, but to just say since the pandemic broke is like the word itself broke.
Okay.
Okay. I hope other people have something to say, and I'm not just stopping them by.
No, we are enjoying your diligence.
Thank you. Section 7, last but one line. 7.4, OA Secretariat. Last but was an event center to generate revenue. Please cancel the intruding to.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And I think that's as far as I got before we came on.
Any others on page 4? Page 5. Yes.
Page 5, at the top of the page, it should be organizing secretary, not general secretary.
The group's organizing secretary. Thank you. Any more? Page 6. Yes.
Page 6, paragraph 753. The first slide, it says an Accra, but it should be Accra Farming Cooperative.
Okay, so it was you.
Yes.
And you remember exactly what you said.
I
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Page 7. Page 8. Yes.
8.3.
8.
Authorization of the executive committee.
Which
8.3.
8, okay, yeah.
Authorize.
Yeah.
Authorization of.
Of the, yeah, right. Okay. Any more on page 8? Page 9.
Not to
Yeah.
A3. Then the actual body of the clause. Accra Victoria moved for the authorization of the executive committee to fix. She didn't move for the authorization of the letters. So she moved to authorize the executive committee.
Correct. But I don't think she heard.
It says,
I was just saying about Sarah Lynn, that
Yes.
under 8.3, we corrected the heading to read authorization of the executive committee to fix the auditor's fees. And I was correcting the
Yeah.
body of that clause to also read Accra Victoria Luge moved for the authorization of the executive committee to fix the auditor's fees.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Page 9.
Yeah.
Page 9. Yes.
The first one,
Rapporteur.
the meeting learned of a proposal from the OA Executive Committee to build, to establish.
To establish. Actually, it wasn't to establish an endowment fund. It was to mobilize funds for the endowment fund. Because we already have an endowment fund. So to mobilize funds
For the endowment.
for the endowment fund, yeah.
Yes.
Any more on page 9? Page 10. Page 11. Page 12.
Page 10. Accra Deliver.
According said, suggested OA would look for options and encourage Accra to choose such as monthly installments of $100 for 10 months, not for 12 months. Because we are looking at $1,000. $250 a quarter, one time payment of $1,100.
But if he said 12 months, it's a question of
When we take some credits, they are a little more expensive than when you pay outright.
I would suggest that we leave it as it is. It doesn't really affect the. We understand, I mean, basically, give the person a chance over a period of 12 months to pay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Page 12. If there are no further corrections, can I get a motion for us to adopt this as a true record of our meeting held on the 13th June 2021? Accra Bishop moves, seconded by Accra Harold Isebu. Thank you.
Accra Sarah Lynn.
Accra Sarah Lynn, okay.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. We prepare the
Okay.
Very good, thank you very much. Matters arising from the minutes. So the first one is the OA website registration. It is. Can you tell us what has happened since, what's the latest?
The latest on the website is that registration is still very slow. It's been more than a year now since we asked Accra to register on the website, and we're not registered. And we need these contacts on the website to facilitate communication. Accra have been very skeptical about their privacy and their contacts going astray and all that. But we are assuring them that there is sufficient protection in place to keep the information from going astray. And we in the Secretariat do not, as a policy, give Accra contacts out to third parties. So we are kindly asking Accra to register. Because when the contacts are all over the place, it is difficult to send out information quickly and effectively. So please do register.
Thank you very much. I know you have something to say about this. Your year group has issues.
Yes. Yes. Sorry to be taking up so much time, everybody's time. But on this issue, two things. To start with, the first time I myself tried to register, I had difficulty. It wouldn't accept my address for email address for whatever reason. And when eventually I was able, or I thought I had been able to register, later then I tried to log in, and I did not succeed. Since then, I have had some people ask me if I had encountered such an issue, meaning they too had encountered the same problem on registering. That's the first issue. Then the second issue, a lot of Accrans have raised the issue that Accra is referred to, that of the sanctity of their data. I have had people actually say to me that I do not want my data to be given to the Secretariat because I do not know what they're going to do with it. Even in the last 2-3 days when the Secretariat had reached out asking for some information, and as is my policy, I contacted people before I would give out their contact. A lot of them told me, no, don't do it. Apparently, even my year group has had a meeting at which I was absent. And at that meeting, it was a decision that more or less was arrived at. People are not comfortable with what their data could be used for and is being used for. So, Accra President, like you know, I sent you a memo on this, and I raised it with Joy and the Secretariat as well. I think it's very important that we are able to reassure Accra that the OA Secretariat is one place that they can feel safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Ali. We put in this feature on the website because of the strong need to have a proper database of risk. So the website was supposed to be the platform that we use for gathering the data. If there are specific things we are asking for that Accrans are uncomfortable about, we'll be happy to have a second look at those. I find it difficult that Accrans want a database, and they always talk about it for as long as I've been in the OAA and attending meetings. Every year we talk about the need for a database. And the essential things for that database, we are not willing to provide. And I don't know how that we can have the database if we don't want the only thing that I can understand the need for privacy. I understand the need for assurance that the data will not be misapplied. I understand that. We, the Executive Committee, have discussed this several times, and would like to give the assurance that we will keep an eye on how the data is used. We'll keep an eye. The assurance is that nobody, for commercial or any other reasons, can come and say, give me the list of your members and then their particulars. It's not going to happen. There are occasions where Accrans come that they are looking for data on other members, on year groups and so on, which we in practice do not make available. So beyond this assurance, I'm not sure I know what else we can do, but it looks like the Executive Secretary has more to say.
Yes, there have been instances where companies like insurance companies have approached us that they want our contact database to engage our members with. And the first reaction is, no, you cannot have it. If you have any information for our members, give them to me or to the secretariat. I will send it to our members at our cost. It doesn't matter how much it costs, but we are not giving you our data, and we never have. So we send that information to Accras that if they are interested, they should engage with whichever company. But we do not give it to the company to engage with Accras. We don't do that.
Thank you very much. There are 3 Accras online who have. So the first is Mami. Mami online, do you have a question or comment? Then there's Accra Quarty. Accra Quarty. And then there's Comfort Amachi. Accra Quarty, if you're online, or Mami.
That's me again.
Sorry?
Yeah. This Accra Quarty, I just have some comments to make on this. Number one, I know from personal experience that the Secretariat treats the data with confidentiality. That's one. 2, the old system of registering on the database was a bit cumbersome. I tried and I had problems. I contacted the Secretariat and they assigned someone to help me resolve the issues. But more importantly now, they have a simple Google Sheet, which is so easy to use to register. So I think the issues of difficulty in registering on the database have been completely resolved by this development. Mr. President, when it comes to confidentiality, I looked at the minutes, and at the beginning of the documents that were posted out, it had a sheet of people who had applicants who had attended the previous meeting. And then it goes ahead to give their phone numbers and their email address. I've had this problem in my yearbook with this disseminating information like that. So I think in future, it's the list of people who attended that is important. Their telephone numbers and email address are confidential data which should not be shared with the rest of the group, because every group president sends it out to every member in his group, etc., etc. So the telephone numbers and emails should be removed before that list is circulated.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Mami,
Accra President. Hello. Can I just support what Accra Quarty has just said?
Yes. Thank you very much.
I have had a personal experience from a young Accra. I will not give more details than that. Who contacted me, and I was surprised that he had my contact. And bottom line, he wanted some money. He had registered to do law and was stuck halfway. His mother had died. This, that, the other thing, all kinds of things. So when you get my email from my contact from, and he says, "What is from the OA?" I said, "Look, I know how the Secretariat works. They will not give out information like that." He insisted that's where he got it from. Eventually, he confessed that he got it from a copy of the document for the last AGM. I was in a position to help, so I helped him. That's about 6-8 months ago. We had a bit of a tussle. I insisted on paying the money to the institution. He wanted it paid to a mobile account. Eventually, I sent somebody to the bank, and it was paid into the institution. It's about 6-8 months ago. As we speak now, I have not heard from him since then. So yes, what Accra Quarty is suggesting is very good. I think we should do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think
I was going to
the point has been made. You made the point that there's really no need to share the contacts of Accra Accra Mami, are you ready?
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to say that I thought I tried it. I'm not sure that I'm registered. I can't even remember. But if I could call Accra Youth to walk me through, I don't mind registering. I'm a bit technically challenged.
Okay, so we
So I'll need help with that.
will deal with that. Thank you very much. Accra Comfort, how much? Comfort, how much? Harold Richardson.
The suggestion.
Good afternoon. It's a suggestion about the privacy of the information. I think we should come up with a little brief in our newsletter and messages that go out that the information is secure, is not given out, and give the reassurance that that is it. We may be saying it here, but I think we should put it out as often as possible in every communication that we post out.
Thank you very much. Accra Ivan.
I have two suggestions. May I suggest that the executive gets in touch with Accra Kofi Dateba, who was, I think, the first chairman of the Data Protection Council, to discuss with him exactly the types of information that one may or may not put on such general websites. Because we would want to know who are old admittants and who are not old admittants. We would not like to see people like Mugabe, who came to be here. We were here in 1959 when I was in 44. Being on our website. On the other hand, if you say that people should give all the information that is suggested, they will be reluctant to do that. So if you can talk to Kofi Dateba, then we can have a website on which people can go and get information on who all the voters are. And then maybe if you want further information, you can be directed on how to get that from the person personally.
Thank you very much. I think we've exhausted this theme. The main thing is we will not give out information that is private, especially if you can show that there's no need for a general dissemination of such information, including showing the email address and telephone numbers of people who attend meetings. Those things should be internally kept. And then we need to publicize, as well as possible, the steps to be taken to register on the website. And then finally, we have been encouraged to Accra Kofi Dateba to find out what the policies are in terms of assuring that data that is gathered is meant for the purpose in which it is gathered and not likely to be abused by people. So thank you very much for all of that. We've taken notes and we will act accordingly. OA newsletter.
Thank you, Accra President. So over the years, the Secretariat has kept us up to date, with information and activities via our newsletter. Now, as time has gone by, we've had all our social media platforms. We have Facebook, we have about 10,000 followers on Facebook, we're on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter as well. What we realized, we had a little meeting, and what we realized is the newsletter is supposed to be a quarterly letter to inform people of what's going on. But the way we get information, it comes so quick. By the time we put everything together, it seems a bit outdated. And what the Secretariat has done, they've done very well. They are always up to date. When you look at our Facebook pages, every single day something is going on over there. You look at our WhatsApp groups. We have so many WhatsApp groups. We have the year groups, we have the presidents who also do their best by keeping us up to date. So we realize that information is just all over the place. And just as Akra said earlier, that's why we want people to register on the website. When you register on the website, you do get an alert to let you know what is also going on. So we have everything consolidated there. So what I'm just trying to say is we're trying to say that let's try and register onto the website, get our data on there. We also know where everybody is. It's a safe place, it's very secure. Your information is not going to go out. Just please try and register and let's put the information out there when it comes to the newsletter. So that's the update on that.
Thank you very much. Any comments on the newsletter or questions? Any online? Thank you very much. The next item on the matters arising, the new...
Mr. President.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Mr. President, my name is Felicia Nazir 91. I study people and I've been listening to Akra give us the updates on the newsletter, and I see online as well other comments on the website registration, but it's not coming through the read. It is difficult to register. I have tried many times, and each time, sometimes I think I'm registered and I don't know this one. I have tried so many times. So if the providers of the website could kindly just have it looked at from different portals of perspective, try to register them. It just will not complete in a successful way when you try. So please look at it. For some of us, it's not that really lessons to register. It's an inability. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Akra Felicia. So what we've done is we've come up with a very simple how to register on the website. So we'll make that readily available. We actually have it here. I don't know if we have time to play it, but we do have a simple video to show people how to register on the website. It's very, very, very simple. So if we do have time, we can play it. If not, we'll make it readily available to everyone just to show you how to go about it.
Thank you very much. Chakaya. If you would share through the year groups,
yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So the video is coming. Yeah, so we should go on. Later on, we'll show you the video on how to register. The next item is the new capital campaign, so to give you an update on it. I have heard people say they knew of 1 million and then we turned into 10 million. So how did that happen? At the last meeting, we started with 1 million. Where we're leaving the meeting, it was 10 million. It's very simple. When we began, the 1 million came from a year group reps meeting. That's where, in the spirit of the moment, we all agreed to raise 1 million over a year, so that in the middle of this year. And then there was a lot of enthusiasm. And when we came to the AGM, somebody said, but if you can do 1 million in 1 year, why don't you do 10 million over 5 years with the centenary celebrations? So that's how the transformation came. I'm very happy that as of now, based on the contributions made so far, we have raised 59,000. We have raised 59,446 US dollars. So far, contributions have come from Akra Saki and Felicia Nazir, 1991, Akra Frida Mike Eisen of 1958, Akra Mirinibenya of 1973, Akra Dalam Levis of 1991, Akra Joel and Rachel Neti of 1989 and 1992, Akra Babinama Nkwayefo of 1979, Akra C.K. Daz of 1962, Akra Aaron Nati of 1956, Akra Chris Gordon of 1975, Accra Baby Sechiado of 1975, Accra Pesinya Mitchell of 1962, Accra Margaret Kokodjosi of 1962, Accra Lydia Emisa of 1962, Accra Kwame and Lydia Boachi of 1963 and 1973, Accra and Aiti of 1973 and 1970, Accra Yadangwa and Pedu Saki 1997, Accra Antoinette Kofi of 1993, Accra D.B. Osei of 1968, Accra Preba Aka 1983, then the Achimota Fund of USA gave us $2,579. Accra Adwa and William Steele 1959, Accra Joseph and Dorothy Atomako Mensa 1958, Accra Harold Keseku 1988, Accra Amadiantwa and Accra Epia Asarienim of 1970 and 2006, Accra Mary Reid 1960, and then ASF Incorporated Anonymous of the USA, they gave us $4,990. Accra Jones Kumi of 1962, and Accra Kwame Nkrumah Bulsio of 1997, giving us a total of $59,446.84. So that's where we stand on this initiative. The collection is ongoing. We have made proposals for year groups to try and raise $50,000 a year for 5 years, which would effectively give us the $10 million by the time we celebrate 100 years of Achimota School, and which also will mean that we stop all these scramble for legacy projects which we may not be able to finish. We've given suggestions of how to make it easy on our breast, and the approach proposed is similar to what we do in church. So all of those of you who go to church and attend harvest, you see how it is done very easy. You give everybody 10 envelopes in a year group, and each person is supposed to find 10 people, and then give them these envelopes. So 10, let me give you an example. You run a school. You run a school, your mother left you a school like you have been running. You have about 300 students, 300 parents. You find 10 most resourceful parents. You give each one envelope, and they bring you, and either they pay the children's school fees, they give you $100. You come and you register your $1,000 into a year, we collect it and put your name down. Every year you do this. Easily, you raise $5,000 for Achimota School. And we put your name on the short wall that we are going to construct near the art block. So that from eternity, everybody will know that Accra native and his wife. And they collected $5,000 from school children parents. And were able to give us this. So it is there. And then that's how it is. So easy. You don't have to be rich to make a project. All you have to do is be resourceful, be very well networked, be outgoing, be able to take advantage of the systems and that whether you belong to, whether it's church or, so that's it. I know that many of you have issues with it, many of you, and I understand. Being asked to pay $1,000 is not small at all, it's not easy. But when you begin to think about the creative ways in which you can raise, I went to visit a friend of mine, one of my classmates. She has 2 daughters. And these 2 daughters, they work in very good positions. And the mother was going, just ask each of them to bring $500 from their colleagues. It's easy. It is a matter of being committed to it and thinking about it. Then you see your children, as a very resourceful son, you see, and he is very well networked. So it will be easy. I am not asking Accra to pay $1,000. I'm asking Accra to use their networks to raise $1,000. I'm done.
Very easy.
Very easy, yes. Any comments? Hey, my wife wants to talk. I hope you don't come in there. Counter my proposal. Please.
Mike's the back.
Thank you. I'm speaking in my capacity as a 1970 year group member and not as your wife. I just wanted to add something I thought about a lot. There are quite a few Achimotans who have parents who left this school in the 30s, in the 40s, 30s especially, 30s, 40s, 50s. In whose time there was no recognition for anything that they may have contributed to the school. And I have a strong feeling that if you were to include a memorial plaque or something as part of this fundraising, so that those who left this school in the 30s, my parents left, my father left here in 1937 or so. It would be nice to capture those ones as well, so that it is their names that appear and not the names of the children. I think quite a few children will be happy to do that for their parents.
Thank you very much. Thank you for not coming to oppose what I was saying. Any other comments from online, from the room? You won't talk. The way you go to your group meeting, they go insult me. I mean, here, honestly, that's what I do. All right, so let's move on.
Mr. President, can I do the insulting here? Rather than a real group meeting. So, when they explain this methodology for the $1,000, I believe we have moved beyond that. What you are proposing is for the year groups to try to raise $50,000 a year for 5 years. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so we are on the 50,000 per year group per year to make it to $250 million. And then you are suggesting ways in which we can do this. I have shared my comments from my year group with you privately, but I just wanted to be clear in my mind that we are talking about the $50,000 a year for 5 years, rather than the initial $1 million you are trying to raise.
Thank you very much. I said at the beginning that we changed the $1 million for 1 year to $10 million in 5 years. Yeah. So there's no longer the 1 million.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Yes.
I believe we have not completely given up in the 1 million. I think we wanted the 1 million for the first year to at least assure ourselves that indeed this is a doable thing. But it's part of the 10 million. It's the first installment, if you want, of the 10 million.
Thank you very much. Agrabah Bachi has explained that the 1 million is not completely forgotten. It is built into the 10 million. So it is 1 million plus 9.
Okay.
Good afternoon. If I may add to the point Accra Kwame just made. If I may add to the point that Accra Kwame just made, and to add on also to the point Accra Prof. Necessity made. This whole thing about fundraising, for me, is it's a going concern. We're going to try and raise a total of 10 million by the time we hit the centenary, of which the initial effort is to raise a million. Now, how we get people to contribute is really up to us. And I don't think any one AGM or any one meeting is ever going to be able to decide this is the modus operandi. Because you're going to have different ways of motivating different people to contribute. Many years ago, when my year group turned 25, one of the things that we were considering at the time as a project, our legacy project, was building the new Agri Chapel. And at that time, we were thinking of selling pews, for instance, in memoriam for people who passed, people who were doing it for their siblings, people who were doing it for their villages, whatever number of reasons that you want to ascribe to buying a pew or having a pew named after you was open. So it's the same for me, the same mindset that we come to this with. Somebody wants to do 50K for a family foundation. The important thing is that everybody who contributes will be recognized. Prof spoke about the wall. So we are looking to build a wall of fame, if you will, that recognizes everybody who contributes from $1,000 up. So if you contribute $1,000, you get a plan. If you contribute $100,000, you get a bigger plan. But by the time we get to the centenary, the plan will be to try and recognize everybody who's put in the effort to raise funds for Ashiboti School. If that's your own personal funds, all well and good. But to Gross point, immediately, it can be resourceful, go out, look for money, give out cards, give out services, whatever it is that you want to do. And then if you're happy to top it up with your own funds, actually we're the ones who come to Ashiboti School. So whatever combination of resources that you're able to put together, good. But bottom line, we will recognize everybody who's able to contribute cash to that extent. That said, we also recognize that there will be people who will put in superhuman effort that may not necessarily be cash-based. And we'll find a way of recognizing everybody who supports as well. For me, that's the most important thing. Let's put all our shoulders to the wheel, and let's be sure that everybody helps in whatever shape or form will be recognized. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Raju.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yeah, can I ask a question?
Get identify yourself.
Yeah. Mami Baden.
Yes. A.K.A. Rowena.
I was going to ask. A.K.A. Rowena, yes. I was going to ask a question that regarding our account. That is, I know we have a dollar account of some sort in Ghana. That is the OA. Is there any way that we can centralize all year group, like foreign account, consolidated under one umbrella in terms of one bank, that is whichever bank that you have, so that each year group has a sub-account under the main account. And therefore, if let's say I am doing collection here in the US and I'm trying to send money down to the school, I know it is going into our sub-account. Because I don't think all the year groups have, some kind of dollar account. The only manage CD account. Have we thought about that? Having sub-accounts for the various year groups?
Okay.
Just thought.
Yeah, thank you very much. I will ask the finance committee to look into it and let us know if it's feasible. Thank you very much. Next item is pledges. I think we've covered that already. Yeah, there are a few names from the minutes, people who made pledges, but I haven't seen their names on the list. So if you know you made a pledge at the last meeting, and you haven't been able to redeem it, please try and, I want us to reach the 60,000 is a few dollars. And before we leave here, we should pass 65. I can see everybody nodding, meaning that he's ready. Now we're telling you. Is that you're ready?
That's when we get there.
Okay?
When we get to that segment.
We are there. We are pledges. So those of you in the online, if you have any pledge I want to make, it will be answered. I will say $1,000. whatever pledge you want to make, let us know. Get the list of those who are online. Mention their names and let us see. Accra said, you owe me $1,000 already, you know that.
Yes, I'm very aware. I explained the circumstances to,
yeah, I know.
To the Madam.
You don't think this is my last day as OA president. Today I'm collecting all those who have given me assurances. Accra President, I will pay up with interest. I assure you. Very good. I'll make sure that if I hand it over notes, I go to them. Anybody else online who wants to make a pledge today? Accra got important. Are you ready? You've been talking plenty at your year group meetings. Yes, I'm talking to you.
You want money?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I've heard.
You are the president of the 74-year group.
Don't worry, what about Trishu?
There are some names here I'm afraid to mention. Accra,
my name.
Charles Ivanson, are you there? Charles Kofinti, are you there? Dr. Mel,
yes, I'm here. Mr. President.
Any commitments, any pledges?
Yes, I'll see the secretary in chambers.
All right, thank you. I'm assuming that you all will see her in chambers. Thank you very much. So we move on. So the next item on the agenda is the President's report, which I thought we have shared, but obviously not. So let me read to you the President's report. Today ends my term as OA President and also of the current Executive Committee. So the Executive Committee is made up of Joel Nete, Vice President, Antoinette Kofi, Treasurer, Dela Simon, Harold Iseku, Harold Richardson, Ebide Saka Ato Menso, Kwai Buachi, Jose Kwame Adjuma, Yabuati, Yabenam Johnson as members, Mrs. Marjorie Afeni as Headmistress, and Accra Unisco as Executive Secretary. 6 years ago, when I took over as OA President, we pledged to work on the school's most pressing issues, being the land encroachment and falling education standards. We held a day-long workshop at the Mansfield Hotel on 30th March 2016 to discuss these two issues. The presentations made by the then headmistress, Mrs. Beatrice Adam, Accra Professor Kwame Adjuma of the school's projects committee, and Accra Professor Ivan Adai Menso and Mr. Kwesifin shed a lot of light on the school's problems. A press conference at the press center later exposed the extent of all the problems, especially that of encroachment. It was an emergency meeting of Accra a couple of weeks after that the problem of the Osuman Kralo was revealed and the land fund put in place to collect money and a minimum of 500 Ghana cedis per Accra to fight the land's legal battles was put in place. The money raised for the land fund was used to pay all the legal bills and pursue judgment in favor of Achimota School. During Achimota School's 90th anniversary celebrations, a 90 and 90 levy was also instituted to collect a minimum of 90 Ghana cedis from every Accra to be paid into the land fund. The land fund originally for a wall to be built around Achimota School to protect what land there was left. Get Fund eventually agreed to build the wall, and as such, the money collected has been used to pay the legal fees related to land matters. In response to a request by the 1976 year group, the OA Constitution was revised and amendments were incorporated to it. Led by Accra Dela Simon, the revised Constitution was presented to the 2016 AGM, subject to a few changes. The Constitution took effect 30 days after the corrections were made and posted on the website. The 2016 version of the Constitution is therefore available on the website. 2017 saw the celebration of Achimota School's 90th anniversary. Accra United ably chaired the planning committee and drew up a year-long program of celebration from the walk to the grand ball. The celebration was successful and has something for Accra of all ages, as well as students and staff. The theme was black, white, and heart, that all may be one. There was an anniversary logo and cloth, which remained in vogue until further notice. The OAA gave to the school as its legacy gift a new science block with 4 multi-purpose laboratories in it. Apart from $310,000 donated by Talo Oil Ghana Limited, Accra and friends donated over 1 million Ghana cedis to complete the building. The laboratories were named after the families of groups who donated at least $50,000 toward the project. The OAA and Achimota School were plagued by the COVID-19 pandemic like every other institution in the world. We had to think outside the box and see how we would survive it. Valid lessons were learned, the most important being how to hold virtual meetings, making online payments and online receipts. A lot of it was new to us, but we held our own. After agreeing at the 2019 AGM to merge the 40th and 50th anniversary year groups to co-host Founders Day celebrations, this was done for the first time in 2020 successfully. The old OAA website has been replaced by www.oachimota.org. The new one is interactive and people-friendly with lots of opportunities for networking. It is easily accessible on the phone, tablet, laptop, or desktop. Online payment is available. Unfortunately, since its inception, the number of Accraians who have registered at the website is only 698. The project's subcommittee supervised the construction of the OAA Talo sign block. It also revised the list of projects at the school to be undertaken by the various year groups. The projects have been classified according to the intensity of capital required. Year groups are urged to come together to undertake projects which are capital intensive or more capital intensive. The subcommittee has been working closely with the Ikankwe North Municipal Assembly to control the encroachment of Achimota school lands. More revenues needed in order for the earmark demolitions to take place. The academic subcommittee has been working on how to improve education standards at the school. Autonomy at Achimota School is still work in progress. It is an uphill task. The subcommittee collaborated with peer schools to pave the way forward by forming an alliance of their alumni. A memorandum of understanding from the alliance was sent to the government of Ghana through the Ministry of Education in August 2021, but no progress has been made to date. The Finance and Alumni Relations Subcommittee, made up of Accra, Kwabe Boachi, Harold Richardson, Antoinette, Kofi, Yabuati, and Aite and Israel, work to improve on revenue collection to include online payment via the OAA website. More mobile money payments were encouraged for both revenue and expenditure. The accounting setup at the Secretariat is almost fully computerized and will go live by June 2022. The list of all Accra contacts will be keyed into the MS Access so that all information is in one place and better managed. Accra can be reassured that the information will not be given to any third party. The OAA gave material support to the National Science and Maths Quiz team, comprising 4 laptop computers and 10,000 cedis cash to help them improve on their performance in 2020. The Finance and Alumni Relations Committee is looking to coordinate OA branches worldwide and bringing them under one umbrella. This is to make their voices heard and make them increasingly relevant to the organization. It is raising funds to recapitalize the Assets Fund in order to make it a major source of funding for the centenary celebrations. It was supposed to raise $1 million by the close of 2021 and $10 million by 2027. This has been discussed today. The members of the Achimota School Centenary Planning Committee will be approved at today's meeting. The members will have the mandate to decide on what for the celebration and coordinate the events. The subcommittee will plan and execute an annual Achimota Space lecture, most likely during the week running just before the Founders' Day. Virtual and hybrid meetings are now the order of the day. In order to be inclusive, certain meetings like the APM, Memorial Service, Carol Service, and Year Group Reps meetings are streamed at an average cost of 5,000 Ghana cedis. It will cost the Secretariat about 25,000 cedis to own the equipment for streaming. We wish to appeal to your good selves to donate generously so that we can acquire the equipment. So I've finished reading what Eunice wrote for me. Now let me tell you what I want to tell you. What I want to tell you is that I've enjoyed 6.5 years of being OA president. I've enjoyed it very much. But when Eunice wrote it, she didn't consult. I didn't know she didn't see I'd enjoyed it. But I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed working with all of you. It has not always been easy, and we know that, but it has been extremely productive. We built the science block. We've done things for the school. My dream is to see Achimota School win the National Science and Maths Quiz next year. And I hope that we as a president will do everything possible to support the school to win the National Science and Maths Quiz. Then we can all rest happily and know that we've achieved our goals. So on that note, I finished. I Thank you very much. Any comments on the address?
You have to drop the mic.
Sorry?
Yes, Accra President.
Yes, Madam.
Yes, as a former president myself, I would like to say congratulations. You have done extremely well. And we know that your successor will follow in your footsteps. He has been shadowing you.
Any other?
Former President.
Yes.
Former President, can I come in?
Yes, Gladys.
Yes, this is Akora Gladys Fashion Short, 1969 year old. I just want to reiterate what Akora Stera just said. Thank you so much for agreeing to do a third term, and we really appreciate all that you have done during the last 6 years. You have really raised the bar very high. We know that Akora has been working closely with you, and it's good. If you elect third, he's going to, well, this is a sole nominee, so he's elected. Then we know that he's going to continue so that Achimota School will take its rightful place among the notable schools in the country. Thank you very much. We know that you are not going away, though your term has ended. We will still be there to direct and offer advice whenever necessary. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gladys.
Akora President. Akora President.
Yes, go ahead, please go ahead. Akora, go ahead, please.
something that is monumental, long overdue, and we are very appreciative of that. And the many other things you may not have finished, but at least you have started. Issue this elder statesman who we are moving to, and God bless you. Job well done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we move to business of the day, and the first item is to mention the status of Achimota School land. I will do this.
I wanted to make a comment.
Yes, please.
I've just noticed that I've been allowed to unmute. Apologies, Prof, but definitely I'm not going to let you go without saying something. I just want to say congratulations, Prof. You've been the energy in the room for the past 6 years. I don't know how you've done it, but you've been there for all. And from personal experience, you've been there for individuals also. You've never missed replying to any message or thoughts that you have put across, whether by WhatsApp or by phone. And I'm hoping you are definitely going to be in the background supporting the next generation. So I just wanted to add my congratulations and thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Thank you very, very much. So the next item is the status of Achimota School lands. I'll do this in 2 parts. I will invite the school board chair to speak, and then I'll invite our lawyer and the Great Committee, Accra Dela, also to speak on this. So, school board chair.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Press. Good afternoon, President and members of the school. Achimota School lands, we've come pretty far. It's been difficult, but we're making progress. Now, when I say we're making progress, our mandate was to secure Achimota School lands together with the Lands Commission and the country North Municipal Assembly. We started by trying to work out a special plan for the following area which is done. It's been approved. And that's our first phase of regularization. It's been quite a journey because it was a bit of discontent with the Lands Commission procedure. Since last year, August, we've had a fair bit of discussions with the Lands Commission. Finally formed some form of a subcommittee with the Lands Commission, Achimota School, and the Country North Municipal Assembly. And we've made a fair bit of progress. So in March, we had a walk around the Foley area, which is where we're going to start the process. And Lands Commission has come out with a tall list of the regularization process. So it starts with the physical survey, and then of course we've got to go into the field, map each of the plots, find who's what, and come out with evaluation, blah, blah, blah. The bottom line is, no regularization takes place without Achimota School board approval. That's the process. And we've gone through all that. There's a little snack regarding leasing and mandate and all that. But I'm sure, preceding this AGM, I had a bit of discussion, and I'm sure this week, the Lands Committee, subcommittee of the board, and together with Lands Commission, will resolve that matter. That shouldn't prevent us from going to the field to do whatever we have to do. So in brief, that's where we are. It's a bit of a slow process, but we finally found a model by which we work with. We're trying to set up a secretariat within Lands Commission just to take Achimota School lands. It was a fair bit of work, and they have business all over the country, and therefore Achimota School is not necessarily a priority. The good thing with this process is that obviously the regularization process is to allow us a fair bit of income for Achimota School. And therefore, it should be possible to, as it were, finance this process through what we do, and our idea in the long term was to have a facilities manager and a special planner based here to handle all that. I must say that managing Achimota School lands, I think, is way beyond school management. If you don't find a credible setup a strategy, institution to handle it, it's going to be a problem. But we're at this stage, and I think we're making some progress. As slow as it is, we're making some progress. So I'll take any questions. But before I take my seat, the chairman of our Lands and Projects Subcommittee, Mr. Lewer, chair of 78. 77. Sorry, I got you worried. Is here, and I've been having meetings with him. We'll see my salary workers or not, but it's a lot of work. And then we have a subcommittee, so some of those members are here, and if there are any questions, we'll be ready to answer. May I just mention that the construction of the wall was part of the strategy of securing the coastal lands. We built the wall as far as the point where we had the case in court with the Suman Craft, and I'm sure Akradina will speak on that. We've tried to get GEFRAN, who are actually funding the wall, to continue. I think somewhere in February, they were going to table this to their board. I haven't heard what's the outcomes, but we're still trying to pursue that process and make sure that the school property is secure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you want to add anything? Right? Do you want to add anything?
Thank you very much. My name is Leslie Tre, 1977 years old. Projects and Lands Subcommittee of the board. I don't want people to leave here thinking that there's a plan to sell a children's school. I want that to be very clear to everybody. So it might be good to have a bigger picture of what is going on. We have about 1,080 or thereabouts acres of land. The school itself actively occupies about 300 or so acres of land, which means there's about 700 plus acres all over the place. The part here behind the games field, etc., is about 300 acres. That is where the focus of the war was. But that is where we are still having issues with the land. So the war has stopped, and at the point we have to have the military there to protect that land. Now we have land on the other side of the Achimota-Legon road. Pure Fire, name the big coil, etc., etc. And then we have the lands around the folly. Now, yes, we have won the court case, but I remember during Achimota 90, Justice Sechu said, even if you have judgments, how do you take control of the land? So that area on the other side of the road from Achimota to Legon is the area for which the President has given us a mandate to regularize. What it means is we shall give them some form of title to the land because they are already there in exchange for some kind of punitive list. And whatever funds are collected will then be used to help the school in one way or another. We are starting with the folly because that actually impacts academic activity. The planning alone cost about 70,000 cedis. It's a lot of money just going through all the processes. We have had people on the ground. We've identified those structures that cannot be allowed to stand because they will interfere with the running of the school. And if you go over to the front, you see that those buildings have been marked for demolition. There are others where we shall have to sit down with the owners, and then we will come to the school and we will find a way of regularizing them. The matter of the lands is a long matter. It is a matter that we cannot talk about at this AGM. And it also requires a lot of law. So we are pleading to all Accra see Accra Unis, see how you can come on board and help us, because we need a lot of help. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. May I invite Shradila to talk about the court cases and related matters? Yeah, that's right.
Hello, and good afternoon. And so just to give a quick update, we have two land cases currently. The truth is that our cases stalled a bit with our lawyers because we had some issues. Well, after a long break, we kind of resurrected our focus with them. So we had Meeting Estate in Meeting and 66 others. And with that one, we got judgment. But the problem is serving the coaches, serving them with the process so that we can go into entry of judgment. And it has been, 2-3 years now, and we've had issues. Anyway, as we speak now, we've decided to go the way of substituted service. So that has been done. The next step, I believe, is, I don't know what the next step is, but at least we've done the substituted service. The problem is that when we send, when the babies go, the persons occupying the property are not the ones who were involved with us, if you know what I mean. They've given the property to other people, and those other people are not ready to tell us where the original occupants of the property are. So it's a bit tricky. And we've gone back and forth. Anyway, so now we've applied for certificates, and let's see what the next steps are. The other one is the Mount Carmel case, which has resulted in us not being able to proceed with the building of the wall. In that too, we got judgment in terms of capacity of the school board, and the matter was supposed to be remitted to the High Court for it to take its normal course. But like I said, we had issues with our lawyers, and so that has stalled for a considerable period of time. Now we've instructed them to file what we call a notice of intention to proceed. So at this point, we have to get our lawyers to pursue the registry and ensure that the docket is remitted to the High Court so that the matter can take its normal course. So that's where we stand with the land matters from a legal court point of view. If there are any questions?
Thank you very much. Are there any questions on the land issues for the three speakers? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm Samuel Dake of 87 Year Group. Please, the minutes talks about setting up of a trust to manage the lands. What's the status of that, please?
Thank you. The trust is still on. We had started a process with the Lands Commission when we got this approval from the President. We got it back in 2018. 2019. February 2019. 18 February 2019. We had started a process with the Lands Commission. We were not making much progress. This idea of the trust came in, I think, somewhere in October 2020. Okay. Now it's stopped. It's not making much progress. So we went back to Lands Commission, the same process that we started. That is what I believe to know. As and when that trust comes involved, or whatever the situation is, it's a fairly bit of a complex situation getting the trust involved. But the mandate from the President allowed us, for the letter for this organization plus the Lands Commission to allow Achimota School, together with the banking law, the organization. So what I've spoken about and what Wesley has spoken about is everything that we're doing in Lands Commission.
Thank you very much, School Board Chair, for I want to add that the idea for the setting up of the trust came from the OA. The idea itself came from the OA. And this was after OA had put in place various measures in the effort to secure the land. To my mind, setting up that trust is something that the school board has to lead. With the school board, nobody else. And my interpretation of the Supreme Court decision for capacity is that, yes, the school board is empowered to do that. So the school board has to take the lead, not the Ministry of Education, not Ministry of Lands or anybody. It's the school board that has to do it. Clearly, we need the support of the Ministry of Education. We need the support of the Lands Commission. We need that. But leadership in that process rests with the school board. And we did make proposals on the composition of that trust. And that proposal included representation from OA. You know, I remember the discussion in which we said that the only entity that has a permanent interest in Achimota School is OA. Everybody else from government, the school is owned by government. Governments come and go. So the only entity that has a permanent interest, like the Methodist Church has a permanent interest in the Infantil or Wesley Girls. The Anglican Church has a permanent interest in the Disabled Community. When it comes to OA, there's no such entity. Only the OA. When it comes to Achimota School, it's only the OA that has a permanent interest. So, you cannot have a trust that manages Achimota School lands without the OA. So my appeal to the school board is to ensure that we pick up this idea of the trust and that the presence of OA on the trust is spelled out as clearly as possible and made legally enforceable. That has been the position of the executive committee of the OA all these years. You will. Tell them if I'm right, lying.
Mr. President, you are absolutely right. I think not only has that been the position of the executive committee over the last, 5-6 years as we championing this, but to reaffirm that, forgive me, I won't remember the dates, but the executive committee met on this subject and actually voted that if it is that the trust does not recognize the Old Achimota Association and give us the number of places or seats at the table that allow us as the only entity that has permanent interest in Achimota School, a seat at the table, then the OA will not be able to support the activities of that trust. Although we champion the formation of the trust because we see the merit in bringing together all parties who can influence that process around one table. But it's important that the Old Achimota Association of this across have a seat and have enough seats to be able to positively influence and protect the lands of Achimota School. So you're absolutely right, Mr. President.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions before we move to the next item? So you all agree that the trustees should move on, that the OA should be there. Anybody who objects?
Makes sense.
All right, okay. So let the record show that The next item on the agenda is the centenary celebration. Basically, what we want to do is to put in place a committee that will be responsible for over a 5-year period to plan a series of activities leading to the climax in 2027. That's the whole idea. We want you to use the next 5 years to shape Ghana. We want everybody to feel Achimota School. Right? We'll be doing very well at the National Center one space. We'll be winning and winning, so they will see it. And we'll be doing well in the Wasi. And I'm very interested. Not your head, but we'll be doing well in the Wasi. We'll be doing all sorts of things. But this committee will plan the event, what we'll be doing in 2022, 2023, 2024, all the way to 2027. And then, so I don't want people who will be nominated, then they disappear. Or when you call meetings, they won't come. I don't want people who accept to be in the committee, they will sit there, they won't come. So if you can see in your dreams, you can see where how Achimota School should celebrate 2027 centenary. I beg you, just raise your hand and say, I want to make a difference. I don't want anybody to know I'm not waiting myself. So that we can hold you accountable for your presence of the committee. Initially, we are thinking about a 7-person committee, and then they'll be free to co-opt other people, depending on how many different subcommittees that they decide to put in place. I know from experience of Newell that I think you had how many committees? About 10 or so. For everything that Newell talked about, there was a committee. So let's have a 7-person organizing to start, and then they will come with proposals that we'll be looking at year group reps meeting, year groups meetings, and so on. And then with time, it might grow from 7 to whatever number. But let's have those 7 people, both online and in this room, to volunteer and say we want to be part of this. We feel it. We feel the 2027. Yeah, but I can feel you.
I feel Clarence Amwate on the committee.
Clarence, you feel yourself? If you feel yourself, let's take a move. You feel yourself? All right. Anybody else? You want to be there? Sorry? Comment. Okay, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. My year group is the Golden Jubilee Year Group, which means that during the centenary, our celebrations will be subsumed by the centenary. So we have no choice but to be part of the centenary planning because it is also our Golden Jubilee. Now, because of that, we are celebrating 50 years of matriculation this year. And I want to invite all AA, OAA members to a fundraising records night at Plus 233 this Christmas. We hope to raise enough money to put in the endowment. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think the idea that you put up, your being the centenary ladies, I think is a good one, and will be duly recognized and action. Thank you. The ancients. Akraba Mwachi refuses to fade away. He is going to represent the ancients. He's going to make sure that in the planning, we don't forget that there were people who came there before we came. you very much. I think it's a good idea. Joel has advised me that we shouldn't restrict the number to 7. We should let's take as many names of people who are interested, and then we take it from there. Yes. You have a microphone. Godfrey.
Thank you very much, Accra President. So I'd like to nominate Godfrey Kadley, OA 2009.
But are you sure he will be interested?
Yeah, he's here.
He's here?
Yes.
Okay, so say something. You accept the nomination.
Yes. Okay, so I think OA 87 will also be celebrating their birthdays. And there's only one representative from the senior that. So maybe we consult with these people or we will retain this.
So we are agreed that OA 87 should be there and OA 772 should be there. Also, makes sense. Those online, anybody who is interested? Very 97, what did you say? 30 years. I mean,
They'll bring the energy.
Yes, and 97, no problem. Very soon, 2072 will make a claim. Yes.
And the excuses I didn't do. So I think people should put up their hands.
Yeah. But so far, those who have been nominated, they are all, I think they felt the whole movement. Yeah. So far, I think they are all male. And the moment we say anything, and then when they men are doing it, they come and complain that we are not gender sensitive. Yeah, but you have what you say.
I accept. I feel it. So
Very good. Anybody online who wants to be part of this? Yes.
Madam President, this is Charles Police. I put myself on.
Yeah.
Madam President.
Yes, madam.
I've been on for 65 years. I am very passionate about. I have been OA president before. One thing that I have gained definitely from my passion and activity re Achimota Affairs is a very broad network. And I think in issues like this, organizations and so on, I think a network is a very, very important ingredient. I'd like to volunteer myself.
Thank you.
I might not be able to be very active, but I'll always be available.
I know you have plenty ideas.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have seen online Implote and then Mami Lady.
Yes, I was just going to say that I want to nominate Accra Victoria Luge.
Victoria Luge. Is she online?
Yes, please. I'm not sure she's online today, but then I know that she's very, very much interested in Achimota Affairs.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm all let her know.
Accra Victoria, do you accept? You accept. Very good. Okay. Implote.
Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Fantastic. I'm Accra Victoria 1993. We are attempting to hold a dinner dance in the UK this October. And one of our plans is to raise sufficient funds to donate it as an action fund. Also, I've been talking to a couple of classmates about coming up with a 100 initiative to raise 100K for us as well. So I will eventually raise my hand up to join in the effort to make the 100 a success. So hence my self-nomination. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Any more?
Me,
I could take whatever. Very good. And when you're coming, you bring the money. Yes. Yes. Go ahead. Because now, please.
I'm taking somebody.
Excellent. So you are volunteering. Excellent. How many days left? Like, how many days left? Sorry?
Mr. President.
13. Yes.
I'm somebody.
Who is that?
I'm taking somebody.
Yes. Hey. Abraham, welcome. How are you?
God bless.
Thank you. Are you volunteering?
Yeah, I can't be past president.
Thank you very, very much. Yeah. Thank you very, very much. So we have 14 names. Abraham is also there. Very good. I think we have 15 names. I think it's enough to start. Enough to start. Thank you all very, very, very much. I think
Mr. President, so thank you very much, and thank you very much to all those who put their hands up. I think the initial idea was to try and set up a committee here, but my suggestion would be, Mr. President, that we take all these 15 people who put their hands up. From the last experience, we ended up with maybe 100 members of various committees. We had a plenary session, and that was looking at the various events. And to Agrahan's point, it's critical. Maybe we're a little shy, so people like to not to feel like we are being a little too forward. But given what we saw for a one-year campaign, what I expect will be a 5-year plan leading up to this campaign, I think it's critical that people put their hands on themselves because it's a lot of work and a lot of time. So my suggestion would be let's take all the 15 and then over the next few months actually consult other people based on their expertise, based on teams, based on this, that, and the other, and then consolidate and then maybe have an event to actually launch the centenary and the committees and then put them to it, as opposed to trying to do everything in one AGM. So that would be my suggestion.
Thank you very much. I think it's a very important point, and most important thing is that at least we have a core of people that we can use to start, and then move from there. Agreement.
I'm not volunteering, but I'm making a suggestion for whoever will be on the committee. It was during the 50th anniversary, I think, that we had a history of Hashimoto's written by the late Prince Abdul. We are now going to the centenary. I want to suggest that right now, we try, as one of the committees to set up, we set up a committee that will update the history of the school. Because those who have the knowledge are passing on gradually. And I see that those who are current are not current with what has gone on before. A lot of it is being lost. So that's my suggestion.
Thank you very much. What many people here don't know is that even though Abraham is a chemist, he's also a part-time historian. And he's also a part-time historian. And the politician, after the politician, he's stopped a long time. He's stopped politics many years. He's a part-time historian. I thought we agreed that you will start. Yes, we will mobilize. Yes. So this AGM is deciding that Accra Ivan will put together a small group to write the new history of Achimota School. An updated version of it. It has to be a new one. So, does everybody agree?
Yes.
That Accra Ivan we will give you all the resources that you need.
Yes.
We'll come to you in a minute, please hold on. Yeah.
You know, we have a lot of historians. Our Accra, Akosia, Baby, for example. You know, currently I'm very much engaged with my own autobiography. And there is a lot of much matter that I've already written. But to lead this effort, I would rather prefer to be on the background and have someone who has time and is a historian to lead the process. That's what I would suggest.
Thank you very much.
Otherwise, it will interrupt with the completion of my autobiography, which is in 2 volumes.
It makes sense. Aggressive, you were saying something?
Okay.
Well, yeah, please.
Yes, I was going to say that this is just from a fashion point of view. I know that we're going to soon have celebrate our 100 years. For the 90 years, I'm not sure if it was for the 90 years, our OEA cloth, the design in it completely changed. I mean, the phases were nowhere to be compared to the founders. Could we ensure that if we are thinking of doing something like that for our 100-year celebration, we go to the original stencil, whatever it is, to produce a much more better quality cloth, if anything at all?
Okay, noted. Thank you very much. So, back to the history. We have agreed that we will do it. We are going to look for people to do it. But I want this meeting to note that we will do a new history of our Achimota School. Thank you very much. The next item is this OAS Secretariat phase test. I mean, there isn't much to report there. We have not been able to mobilize the resources to do it, but I think it's there because it was in the minutes. So we will deal with that in the course of time. What I added at the beginning of the meeting was the Achimota School Museum, and I will invite Accra Slideman to. He shared it with the executive committee. We thought it was a brilliant idea, and it also helps with the whole idea of the history of the school. So let me invite him, and once we listen to him and we accept it, then we put in place the structures for pursuing it. So, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll be brief because of the discussion. I'm sure you all know what a museum is. There's definitely different types of museums. Natural arts and science, whatever. My suggestion is that for a heritage committee, and it's just as well that a discussion preceding this presentation is about history of the tourism. There's so much that needs to be captured in a written form, but more importantly, in a permanent form in a museum. When we form this committee, it will determine how that museum should be set up. The number of universities who have museums, more for education, for learning, for research, whatever. We need right from the beginning to determine what the tourist museum wants to be. More for historical relevance, but also for education and whatever. Matoda has been through a lot, and it has contributed way from 1924 to a whole lot of things, which I'm sure when we look at the historical narrative, everything would come up. We still have a few structures around that have contributed one way or another to what we are. For example, when we see our Signals Road is where the West African Frontier Force had their signals regiment, and the mast is still just beyond the clubhouse, okay? And so there are various matters which we can bring to the fore in the form of a museum. Okay. So basically, and of course, we just recently discovered that the Masons hand tool that was used to start the school, right, or the Gettysburg, is the headmistress office. I'm sure you went through all this. This is dated 1924. 2 years' time to young radios. Okay? The radios that were used for signals during the war used to be in the museum. Sorry, used to be in the maintenance. Unfortunately, I think it's going to help. Anyway, so there's a whole lot which we can elaborate once we do the narrative. So the whole idea is to try and form a heritage committee and work towards probably putting in place a museum at a point when we're celebrating 100 years. I think we touched a few people. We need a curator, we need a historian, we need research assistants, we need an architect, we need a planner, and volunteers to do a fair bit of legwork. So ladies and gentlemen, in brief, this is the idea. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Agreement.
Yeah, we used to have a museum in the school. Some of the artifacts were apparently taken over to the University College of the Gold Coast on this establishment. What I want to know is whether we have any legitimate right to find out which of the items were taken to the university. They may be able to claim that those items were university material or something like that. It might be worth looking at. Secondly, I was very happy to realize that the Agri Shield is still sitting in the headmistress's office. I've written something on the last Agri Shield competition. Unfortunately, may I seek the permission of the school board chairman to be allowed to go and retrieve whatever history is left still attached to the board, because every year the winner and the school that won in the year in which they won it is embedded, is embossed on it. Unfortunately, some have come off. I just want to have permission so that I can go to the office and retrieve whatever information is still left on it before somebody decides that it is junk and throws it into the dustbin.
But the school head is sitting behind it. And I'm school head, please give me permission, let's go. What did you have access to?
The Agri Shield.
Yeah.
It used to be a shield which schools competed for and performed. Yeah. We won it. Yes, we won it. We won it. And it's not only the Agri Shield, okay. The trophies that we won, the events that we won, I won the discus. And there was a cup for it in the library. So all these things should be there.
So it should all be in the history book. All right.
In fact, only 2 days ago, I was talking about that in the museum to find out whether he was in the 4x220 or the 4x110. He said he had forgotten. No, he hadn't left. He was in the last, that was 1961 when they were in Upper Six. And then 1960, after that, they started the, oh yes, I have all the records. in written form.
These are the ancients.
Yes, I have the records.
Ancient activity.
The last event was in, please, I hope you're listening. I hope you're listening. No, the last event, before Nkrumah decided that in 1961 there were enough Ghana Education Trust schools to also start participating in the intercom, which used to be limited to only 12 schools, 6 in the southern zone, 6 in the northern zone. And then at the end of the zone house, we will have 6 schools, the first 3 in each. We'll meet in a designated place. The last one was at the Accra Sports Center. That was in February 1961. Then in September 1961, they used 16K. That's when it became a mass.
All right. So clearly, there's a bit of history to be researched in this area. Thank you very, very much. So are we all agreed on the need to work on the Heritage Committee? Yes.
Yes. Yes.
So I have a friend who is 1948 years old. Yes.
He's your friend.
And she's always constantly telling me that I should tell the authorities that the school authorities that they should find out. She said she knows for a fact because she was there that day. She said it was for secretary. Is it the secretary? Came and planted that tree. The one right in front of the and that we should label it in that manner so that nobody goes to touch that tree. We should find a way of preserving that tree so nobody touches it. Every time I visit her, she say, have you once spoken to them about my we had a meeting, I said it.
Yeah.
And then she reminds me about it, so just saying it.
All right. That will actually be difficult to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. President.
Yes, madam.
Just to buttress what Accra has just said. The 1948 year group member has spoken to me about this tree. In fact, recently she has completed writing autobiography, and she had wanted to mention it in there, but needed to have somebody else collaborate her memory. She wasn't sure exactly. She knows where the tree is and will take us there if I know we're talking about Mrs. Barbara Owen. Turned 90 recently, she's now 93, and she is, she has this thing as a pet project. She wants to know, wants a couple of other crafts collaborate exactly who it was who planted it. So yes, I agree with
Thank you very much. We'll work on it. So, next item on the agenda is to receive a report from the Achimadasu Endowment Trust Fund. So who is speaking for? Abra Chair, are you speaking on the trust fund? Yeah. You wanted to bully him to accept?
No, I didn't bully him. No, I gave him just one competitor number 101, Nkuka of the SEC. He was the one who's falling with us. We showed by 1 point. And he remembers that. Well, Fellow President, if I may crave your indulgence, just to, because of time, say that our report as presented in the booklet is deemed to be read so that we don't go on reading everything. But I'll just highlight a few things. As we said, our meetings were held this time, the last year. Almost all of them were held virtual. We didn't have any face-to-face meetings. What we would like to ask members is that those who are nominated to serve on the trust fund, we have been having difficulty getting quorum. We crave your indulgence to ensure that when we have meetings, whether virtual or in person, you make it a point to attend. We have done very well this year with the asset fund levy. As many as 32 year groups are fully paid. There are a few year groups which are not as yet finished payment, and we are chasing them. This year, Accra Salina has done very well, chasing what's happening to them, chasing after the dues, but we still don't have enough to be able to run the secretariat. We've been scrounging around a bit, and OAA main secretariat has been helping us every now and then. A lot has already been said about the $1 million project, so I need not to elaborate any further on it. But one thing I will say is this: at our last year group meeting, the 1960 year group, when we were discussing this $1 million project and the objective of making it as a substitute to chasing after year groups to do legacy projects, the issue of sustainability and maintenance of legacy projects came up. People lamented that they go to a lot of trouble raising funds to do their legacy projects. But then after that, 5, 6, 7 years later when they come, the state in which their legacy project is left leaves a lot of cause for concern. So I was asked specifically to bring this to the notice of the annual general meeting. I think the year group has decided to write formally also to the OAA secretariat. One specific issue was during our time, the school wanted very badly to solve the sanitation problems in the school. So we built an incinerator. That incinerator has now been overtaken by bush and weeds. We don't know how refuse is being disposed of these days. So it's a matter of concern. The 1961 year group also complained about the renovations they did at the girls' gym and the science laboratory. Some of their members have complained. And so I'm just bringing this to your notice. Managing the accounts of the funds, we are taking steps to do some investments. We've signed a letter to go to look at our investment in data bank. It looks as if there are certain types of investment that we are not allowed as the trust fund to do. So we'll approach the new executive to see how best other investments can be made. The last issue I would like to refer to is the think tank. Some time ago, the school decided, or the OAA decided that within the assets fund, we should have a subcommittee called the think tank. It was originally chaired by the former headmistress, Abrash and Graves. And the idea was for this think tank to meet every now and then, brainstorm on issues concerning the school, especially concerning academic issues, and then try and liaise with the teachers and the head to see how best old Ajimotans can help in improving the academic status of the school. It was very, very active to start with, but with time, its activities have eventually waned. There was a time when cooperation from the school was not particularly forthcoming. And I think quite a number of members began to lose interest. We would like to implore the new OAA executive to see if they can do something about reviving the idea of a think tank, for it to even go beyond its original mandate and see how best they can use. If the think tank was working, maybe they could be of great help in this science and math quiz project that the chairman mentioned. Because I remember we organized some workshops for some of the teachers to try and sort of upgrade their teaching skills. And some of them were very, very happy about those workshops. All those things have now sort of died. With these few words, I now open the floor for any questions or discussions on the report. Last but not the least, I think I've been chairman of the asset fund for as long as the president of UAE has been, if not longer. I started as a representative from the think tank, and then I was co-opted onto the asset fund, and then I was formally elected as a member, and almost immediately elected as chairman of the fund. And I've been at it for quite some time. I can't remember how many years. What I want to know is, when am I also due for fresh elections?
What are the politicians say? Aaron, what are the politicians say about that?
4 years. 4 years.
Thank you. What I would suggest is that at the first meeting of the new executive committee, we shall look at the mandate and the composition of the endowment trust fund in relation to the constitution, and then make. There are a few new names that have come up, which we believe that as we intensify the campaign for the $10 million, they will be very helpful. So I'll be entreating the new executive committee to pay attention to the endowment trust fund. Thank you very much. We'll deal with that. Sorry? Yeah. Sure. I mean, there are a number of financial experts within the OA who we think can play decisive roles, mobilizing and then ensuring that we get the best returns on the investment that we make. Thank you very much. Any questions on the report of the chairman of the Assets Fund? If not, we'll take it as read and noted as, and then the treasurer will give us the financial statement. Or is it the auditor?
I think our treasurer will probably present statement of accounts.
Yeah, good.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, guys. I'll read the opinion and then the report on other legal and regulatory requirements. Independent auditors report. The members of Ethical School and Government Trust Fund. Opinion. We have audited the company financial statements of Ethical School and Government Trust Fund, which comprise the balance sheet as a 31st December 2020, income and expenditure statement, and calculated fund account, cash flow statement for the year then, and notes to the financial statements, which include the summary of accounting policies as set out on pages 7 to 8. In our opinion, proper books of account are kept. The financial statements, which an agreement therewith, give a true and fair view of the state of affairs of the fund on 31st December 2021, and of the income and expenditure statements and cash flow statements for the year then ended, comply with the International Financial Reporting Standards, Ghana Companies Act, Act 990. Report on other legal and regulatory requirements. Compliance with the requirements of Section 137 of the Companies Act 1918 and 990. We have obtained all the information and explanations, which to the best of our knowledge and belief were necessary for the purpose of audit. In our opinion, proper books of account are kept. The balance sheet of income and expenditure and accredited fund accounts and an agreement with the books of the fund. Osman on behalf of DNA Associates, dated 22nd April 2022.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Aquarius. I'd like to present the financial statements for the Multi-School Endowment Trust Fund, as audited by Accra Hospital. At the end of 31st December 2021, we had a total asset position of 560,337 cedis, up from 270,715 from 2020. These assets were held as cash and bank balances of 257,919, with the rest held as investments. The increase year on year was primarily from the, I'm not sure whether to say $1 million fund or $10 million fundraising that was done. On the liability and accumulated fund side of the statement of financial position, we had an accumulated fund of 502,736. We had capital gains of 43,213, and this relates to the movement in the investments we hold in mutual funds, with DataBank, with Stanley, and a few other firms. And then we had accruals of 14,388 relating to historical auditors' fees and PAYE that we need to pay on to the government authorities. So that's our statement of financial position at the end of the year. And I'll quickly go through the income and expenditure statement. So for the year 2021, we have inflows of 270,258. And we had an expenditure of 33,311. There are notes to the account, and we'll give you the breakdown of the income and the expenditure. The income is in note 7, and it is primarily made up for the year group levies and the donations made from the $10 million fundraising. The year group levies only accounted for 65,876, which we recovered with enormous effort. And by this, I'm appealing to all Accra year groups to please pay your 500 cedi annual endowment fund levies without being chased. We would really appreciate it to ensure the smooth running of the ESEC fund. On the expenditure side, the bulk of the expenditure is for the salary for the administrator of the fund. Our accumulated fund for the year ended 31st December 2021, as mentioned earlier, had a balance of 502,736 at the end of the year. Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, the cash flow statement shows how much of this flowed through as cash and what we held as cash and cash equivalent at the end of the year. You would realize that the cash and cash equivalent for the year is mainly what is held in cash and balances. Our investments are not considered as part of this cash and cash equivalent, even though they can be liquidated as a remainder. And that brings me to the end of the financial statements, unless there are specific questions on the endowment trust fund financial statements.
Thank you very much, Accra Toilet. Yes, Accra Harry.
Just a quick clarification. If we had about 50,000 last year in dollars, then exchange rates, we should be more than 270. The money which came in last year from the $1,000, we had hit more than 50,000 at the end of the year. If we multiply by the exchange rate, it should be more than 270. That's just off the top of my head. Maybe I'm wrong.
At the time,
Just to say, Abraham, first of all, the money was paid over a period of time, and even though it's being reported in dollars, it's not all held in dollars. Some people paid cedis, so you cannot almost retranslate the cedi portion of the and what we've reported is what was paid as at the 31st of December 2021. Some of the payments were made in 2022 and so will not feature as part of these amounts.
Any other clarifications required? If there are none, can I get a motion for us to adopt the financial statements giving us the true record of the financial transactions of the SRO? I didn't finish. Okay.
So before the moving it again, and this is probably something that we will take offline as execs and advice, but I think that we must, at least at this point in time, begin to avert our minds to the option of holding our dollar inflows in USD. Given what has happened, if nothing happens over the past, if we are planning towards a 5-year event, we'll have to figure that out. That's something I think we need to do.
I think as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, all the dollars that have been paid are held in dollars.
Exactly. What we receive in hard currency is kept in hard currency.
It's a dollar account. Okay. So I think it's for the reporting that you consider the conversion. Right?
Yes. I've actually asked the administrator to start separating how much is in dollars and how much is in cedis, because when we say $50,000, it leads to the misconception which
Sure. So Harold has moved, seconded by the year of the Harolds. All right. So we've approved the statement, financial statement. Thank you very much. Can we now go to the financial statement of the OAA Treasurer?
Independent Auditors Report to the members of the Old Ashburton Association. Opinion. They have audited the company's financial statements, Old Ashburton Association, which comprises of the balance sheet as at 31st December 2021, income and expenditure statement, and accumulated fund cash flow statement for the year then ended, and those of the financial statements, which include accounting policies, as set out on pages 7 to 10. In our opinion, proper books of account and records, the financial statements, which are in agreement therewith, give a true and fair view of the state of affairs of the association at 31st December 2021, and of the income and expenditure statement and cash flow statement for the year then ended, and comply with international financial reporting standards. Ghana Companies Act 1919 Act 1992. Report on other legal and regulatory requirements. Compliance with requirements of Section 137 of the Companies Act 1919 Act 992. We have obtained all the information and explanations which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purpose of our oath. In our opinion, proper books of accounts have been kept. The balance sheet and income statement and accumulated fund account are in agreement with the books of accounts. Signed by Osman Nila on behalf of the MSCC, dated the 2nd April 2022. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Statement of financial position as at 31st December 2021 for the Old Ashburton Association. At the end of the year, we held current assets of 518,870 and current liabilities of 25,300, which led to a net current asset position of 193,570. The current assets were held in investments in treasury bills, and the mutual funds with Data Bank and Stanley. And then we had cash and bank balances. In the year 2021, we also have fixed assets with a depreciated value of 5,176. This was a loan that was donated to the Secretariat. We had zero loan at the end of 2021, and this was because the loan owed to the endowment fund was paid off. This gave us a net asset position of 493,570, as I said. This was up from 402,290, which we left 2020. These funds were employed in an accumulated fund of 463,573 and capital gains on our mutual funds of 29,997. The statement of income and expenditure for the year ended 31st December 2021. We made income of 481,344, down from 2,305,254. This is because in 2020 we had some funds still coming in relating to the science block, and we didn't have that in 2021. Also in 2021, we didn't have as many people paying their dues, and I believe earlier this year, the OA president launched an appeal to APORES to pay their dues, and I'd like to reiterate that appeal at this point in time. As you would see, our expenditure was 473,120, leading to a surplus position of 8,224. We made other income, which is interest on treasury bills, of 52,159, leading to an overall surplus of 60,383 for the year. Our opening balance for accumulated fund was 402,290 for 2020. There was a minor adjustment of 900 for the prior year. It had to do with an audit fee which had been accrued in the books of the OAA, but which was paid by the endowment fund. And so this was to ensure proper accounting for the funds. We add on the surplus for the year, and we end with a position of an accumulated fund position of 463,573. Statement of cash flow for the year ended 31st December 2021. Mr. Chairman, the key thing to note on this statement is that we held cash and cash equivalents of 513,694. And this was held in the bank, in mutual funds, and in treasury bills. The bulk of it is cash at the bank. Okay. Yeah, we have dollar accounts, we have CD accounts. And so this is the conversion of the dollar plus the CD, and that's what gives us the cash account. Submitted for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Madam Treasurer. Any clarifications required?
Question. The general information. On the executive committee, we have two arrows. One was deleted.
Yeah. We'll correct that. I think the report, one name was left out around the
Apologies, Mr. Harold.
Yeah. So if you're going to bring this and publish it, make sure that
we will update
whatever will be on the website has the proper.
Yes.
Amen. Any other clarifications? If anybody on the online who wants to comment on the accounts?
Yes, Mr. President.
Yes, please go ahead.
It was suggested at our year group that instead of investing in treasury bills, we should look at investing in government bonds because they have a higher rates of return. Government bonds are currently yielding between 20 and I believe 22% per year. So instead of investing in treasury bills, maybe we should look at making investments in government bonds. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Very noted. Discussed. Any other comments on the financial statement? Those of you in the diaspora, you've been complaining that we don't account for the things that you give us. I hope you are taking notes. That we account for every dollar, every pound, every euro, every cedi that you give us. I'm sure if you go to all the schools in Ghana, the Alumni Association is not one of them has audited accounts for 2021, but we do. And I stand to be corrected. If you find one that has audited accounts, whether it's mobile or whatever, I will withdraw my word. On that note, is there anybody who wants to move? Kwame Nkrumah wants to move. Yeah, Kwame Nkrumah has to move. And seconded by... I hear Kwame Nkrumah move the who's your secretary? Any seconder? Accra Harold. Thank you, Harold Richardson. Thank you very much. So, accounts have been duly approved by the AGM. Thank you very much. Before we go to the next item, which is the election of officers, I have indicated earlier that the headmistress of the school is here, and many of you don't know what her voice, how it sounds. We have asked them to say a few things about the school, so that those of you around and those online will know the current state of Achimota School. Please, madam.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Yeah, President, good afternoon to you all. Yeah. The current state of the school, I'll start with the first year's admission. We had 1,750 students placed in the school. So, as at now, we've enrolled almost 1,745 students. Aside that, they gave us 13 foreign students in addition to the 1,750. And currently they are all in school. That is a bit of challenge to the school, so far as the infrastructure is concerned. Despite the fact that we have only 2 streams of students in the school, that is the first years and the final year students, making a total of 2,950, that is almost 3,000 students. The dining hall is still the same size, and therefore, when it's dining, we need to structure it in such a way that the first years will go first, followed by the final year students. And that is not pleasant so far as the contact hours is concerned, because it's actually eating to some of these times. Again, it also becomes a big challenge because washrooms around the classrooms or in the area of the school block are not enough. So you see a lot of the students queuing to enter this washroom. We still have some few teachers that we've declared as vacancy for that position. We are waiting for GS to post them. Where it's necessary that we have teachers who are still within the service who have gone on steady leave, we are fortunate that we are reposted to the school. But where we don't, we are told that unless we have financial clearance, the teachers will be posted. So some of these teachers, we are still waiting. And again, if you look at the science department, since majority of the students here are science students, we need more science teachers, especially the physicists. Then we need lab technicians. As at now, we don't have any because all those we had have gone on retirement, and we are still waiting for placement. But again, it's interesting to know that just yesterday, all the grade A schools in Ghana were, the heads were called to meet the minister in Kumasi, so I was there. And one interesting thing is that in Greater Accra, out of over 50 schools, we have 7 grade A schools, of which Achimota is 1. And the minister highly praised Achimota for the academic standard, because all the grade A schools have been graded their standard. In 2020, WASI, Achimota was one of the best among the grade A schools. Now, we are seriously preparing for the National Science and Maths Quiz. The regional competition or the contest is around the corner. That is, before the end of this month, we'll be facing, the draw was made, we'll be facing Laboni Secondary School, St. John's Grammar, and Wesley Grammar. And it is our hope that we will elect the regional champions once again, so that we will contest in the national contest. I want to take this opportunity to thank Professor Aite and his team so much for the enormous support that we always get from the OA. And I believe that the situation will not change this time too, because we always need the support. And we also want to thank every Accra here, those who are always, I know all of you are all interested in the science and maths field. The students have been grouped and they are always being taught and then getting enough trials. Last week we had about 6 schools and we emerged the winners, but we still have a lot of preparation, and so we want to ask any Accra who is interested to come on board with the coordinators to help them for the dream that we have, that Achimota will win, so that our centenary celebration will be very much rewarding. We want to also talk about, as Professor Adem said, refuse generation in school is very much of a worry now because of our numbers, and the means of collecting this refuse to the refuse point is always a challenge. We need a tractor to do so. What we have is so old, and almost every now and then it needs to go through some kind of services. That's why even end. In 2 weeks, it breaks down again. So that is another big challenge that we have. We are trying to make Achimota the best. And so this is the letter I have. And I want to thank all of you for the support that you always give to the school. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Madam Head. Are there any questions for Headmistress?
And Prof, I've put my hand up. This is a private health class on COVID-19. Thank you very much, Madam Head, for that address. We're grateful. My concern has somewhat been mentioned by a senior Accra, and this relates to the legacy projects that we donate to the school from time to time. I think concerns are being raised, and certainly it has been raised with our yearbook, but this was a meeting I attended yesterday, about maintenance of some of the things that we give to the school. In this particular instance, reference is being made to a refrigerator that was donated to the school when we had to do our teachers' appreciation event. Madam Head, please, is there a way that you can somewhat assure us, older children, about how these projects that we hand over to the school or items are being maintained? And secondly, to the chair and to the committee, whether there's appetite for setting up a subcommittee, perhaps dubbed maintenance subcommittee, who would work collaboratively with the school to ensure these projects are maintained and these items are also kept for good use. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Accra President. Madam Headmistress, preempting and taking advantage of sorts of answer on your behalf, because by your very position there are certain things you cannot say. So I'll say them on your behalf, with your permission. We live in a society that does not always say what needs to be said, always tell the truth. As Accra's, when we are planning a project for the school, we need to bear in mind that this is a school that, like many others, is struggling to feed the students. There's no money. So it's actually the responsibility of Accra's as we plan the project, not just to think about the capital cost, but to also think about the maintenance of the project. So if we plan a project that will cost $75,000, let's raise $100,000 and leave a little money behind, perhaps in the trust fund, for the maintenance of the project. Otherwise, the maintenance costs money, and a school that is struggling to feed the students in the school, where are they going to get money from to maintain the project? So all the comments about maintenance of legacy projects, these relate more to the failure of planning on behalf of us across rather than the school. It's because the school doesn't have the means, that's why we're providing the project in the first place. So it shouldn't be just about what it costs to build the project. We should think further to how we can help the school, provide a means to the school to maintain the projects that we build. Regarding the having a maintenance committee or a projects committee that will liaise with the school on the maintenance of the project, we already have a projects committee, a subcommittee of the board, and also a subcommittee of the OAA that's doing that. It comes down to resources. That's what it comes down to. Thank you.
I have a quick question for Madam Headmistress. And then, but before I ask Madam Headmistress a question, let me agree with you 99%. My 1% caveat would be there's also something to be said for the users having the right attitude. I totally agree. As a rule, we're in a hurry, the euphoria is there, we want to finish a project, we put all into it, use the rest to jam, have lunch, have dinner, and then we leave. And so, as a rule, and that's one of the things that we're hoping to encourage everyone to do now, to put in a certain percentage towards future maintenance. But that percentage cannot last maintaining it cannot last forever. There's something to be said for the users. The example that I gave was about a fridge. I mean, we've done stuff, we've put stuff in the staff common room. You come back a year later and you look at a fridge, you look at a TV and wondering, I mean, if it was your personal property, is this how you do it? So yes, by all means, as a cross, let's plan properly, but I think there's something to be said about encouraging the teachers or the users to make sure that at least you're using it properly. to reduce the cost that comes to Accra. Having said that, Madam Head, my question is about the 13, was it? Foreign students that you said have been brought in here. Are they under the free SHS regime, or are they school fees paying? And if they are school fees paying, how much are they paying? How are the funds that come from that money? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, they are not under the free SHS policy. They are supposed to pay. So they pay a tuition of 1,000 cedis per student, plus any other payments. For instance, if they are in the boarding school, if they are there as boarders, they will pay the visa fee, their visa and everything. So approximately when you calculate everything, a foreign student pays about 2,000, a little less than 2,500 per semester. And that goes into the school's account as IGF.
What I'm hearing, Mr. President, Headmistress, colleagues, is that school fee paying is possible. Clearly, we are seeing that this conversation about blanket free, how we add in letters, just free, clearly doesn't work. And if we put our minds to it as a people, there is a way in which we can have free for a majority and some people pay. And for me, I think that's the principle that we want to establish. As to how we engage the powers that be to make that not just foreign students, but other people who are willing to pay, so that together we can move the quality of life and education up, rather than together push it down. It's a challenge that we have to face. But for me, it's somebody's already doing it. The only difference is that now they are doing it because it's foreign students. In here, in Ghana, there are people who are willing to pay for good quality education. It's up to us, and indeed like-minded people, whether across or otherwise, to begin to continue to push that conversation and make sure it happens. Because as it is right now, for the first year you said about 2,700. How did I just having a conversation? 1,700. I think when we were here, the entire school of 7 streams was 1,500. I think the year after that it became 1,700. Then, so if one stream of a 3-year school is not 1,700, we all know what that means for our facilities. So it's a long road we have to tread, but we've got to start the conversations.
Thank you very much.
So I just want to add a little bit of information to the foreign students. They are not just foreign students from outside Ghana, but there are some Ghanaians who are also taken as foreign students because they did not write a BET, and so they had a special exams at the GS, and then based on that, they were classified as foreign students. So we have some Ghanaians, we have some who were living outside the country, and they are now classified as foreign students.
Thank you very much. We now go to thank you for your presentation, for giving us some insights into what happened in the school. My brother, my older brother. I could tell you, brother, you are my in-law.
Talking about the admission in the school and linking it with the effort we've been making to have an encounter, have an engagement with the Minister of Education. We've been talking about push so that certain things are done. You mentioned a little earlier on that since August last, a letter has gone and no progress has been. May I know what else we can do to let those who are governing us understand the need for an engagement.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure I know how to answer that question. You want to hear about it?
I guess you need to do concerted efforts. Concerted efforts. And I remember the president mentioned bringing Akure on board. I think I've mentioned it before that the work that we need to settle here to do is a lot. And if we have the numbers, we have the intent to deliver, I'm sure we should be able to get those on the other side to listen. My experience with them is they will hardly, forgive me for saying, they will hardly initiate or innovate, but they will listen. And if it's possible, we'll probably go along. I want to ask Akure to learn to advocate and initiate. Sometimes we sit and think that things must happen. They sit on the other side and think that, well, if you don't come to us, nothing will happen. And I don't think it's impossible. Initiate, innovate, put your strategies in place, advocate. And when you get to the point, cross it to the other side, and things will happen. Thank you.
I waited, and then, okay, please.
Yeah, President, I think we need to go a little further than that. That because we wanted this thing to get the support we needed, our president and the executive invited other schools. There were about 40 schools which wrote a letter requesting a meeting with the Minister of Education on the issues that govern the running of our schools. And that was in August. And if, as I stand here now, I cannot say you can say it, but I wonder if you even got an acknowledgement.
No, we don't have an acknowledgement. We'll try again. I quickly and then Edwin.
Okay, I was actually going to talk about dues. I was going to add my weight to the dues and the fact that we are about to do the elections right now. I'm sure in the last couple of days, I, like many other actors, have contacted the Secretariat to ask how much do I owe. And so that's the question. And so you asked me that do I have anything to add to that agenda? Yes, I wanted to talk about this application that if people install on their phone, they'll be able to go on there and see how much dues they are paying. Sorry?
I thought you wait for AOB to do that.
Oh, I was going to quickly slide it in there. I'm almost done. So, well, basically all it is people will be able to go on and see how much they owe. Currently, if you go to their website, you just enter your yearbook, but you don't get any information about which payments you've made so far. And I strongly believe that when people know how much they owe, it's easy for them to pay their dues. And so that's where we come from. And so, for instance, when I got the information for the OA 99 yearbook, I uploaded it and I asked a couple of people to check. And they were able to see how much they owe, and then they were able to top up, for instance. So the app itself is more powerful, and that's what I want to ask for the opportunity to do a demonstration to the executive committee. And then if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will give you a date. Edwin, really? Edwin, really?
Thank you. Forgive me if it's been spoken about already, but I'm now catching up. Mr. President, you recall that last year there was this information you gave us about a meeting with the, if I should call them, the Ghana Ivy League schools, that you have formed a sort of a group to make a pitch towards some of the things we are talking about, getting autonomy, being able to take certain decisions of the board directly and not being always overrun by GS. I don't know if you can update us. I missed it. If I missed it, then maybe.
It was in the president's report, and that's also what Accra was talking about in the interview. Essentially, this, when we've written to the Ministry of Education, outlining things that we believe can be done, asking for a meeting to discuss our request. It was signed by, the meeting was attended by our 40 schools. The letter was signed by about 26 signed, yes. So we are waiting for, and what we will do now is basically push for that meeting. The other schools are very keen. One of the things that stood out for me clearly at the meeting was that it wasn't simply an Achimota problem. It was basically one that has been experienced by all the schools that were structured like us. So yes, we do. Senor.
I have a question for the headmistress. I think one of the incentives for paying our dues has been being able to have our wards, the placements through. So we were made to understand that we could get protocol placements for awards through the OA secretariat. And this particular session, my year group, we had four different wards. None of them got placement through the secretariat. So we're a bit, we're wondering that, so what happened to the protocol placements that we're supposed to enjoy? I don't know if it's a proper thing to ask. Okay, so if maybe you could tell us a bit about the protocol placements.
Thank you. That's protocol placement. 5% of the entire admission for the school. And yes, and the protocol cuts across the school, the good students, the PT, the headquarters, municipal office, the traditional authorities. In fact, the stakeholders are very large. And if you look at the slot given to us, we cannot satisfy everybody. And so we do our best. And I must say that I do my best for the OA, because normally their numbers even outweigh any stakeholders that come due to the small numbers that we are given. And also, even if the protocol slot is given, you do your input, and it depends on the approval from the Free SA Secretariat. A whole lot of things go on that I cannot explain. I just to wait for approval of whatever input I've made. And so everybody is not satisfied, including teachers, all stakeholders. And that is the pressure we get as heads. At times we have to go and hide and put off our phones, and we can't hide forever. I thank God that admission is over.
Thank you very much, Madam Head. We are fully aware of the pressures you come under. We thank you for your contribution to the school. We will see how best we can assist you to overcome your challenges. Now, according to our agenda,
Yes.
Mr. President.
Accra President. Accra President, please, may I suggest that we have any other business before the election? I do not see that item on the agenda. Accra President, did you hear?
Yes, I heard you, but there's a strong objection to your proposal.
Chances are that the people will
I
start
am
leaving.
objecting because some of us are at an age where night driving is a problem. But I was just about to leave.
No, you
If
can.
we can
That is just
have the election now, so that I can leave.
Yes, that is.
Before, otherwise 5:30 sharp, I have to leave.
The moment you stop it, you will have elections. So, at this point, the agenda.
It's not even on the agenda.
The election of officers, yes. So that's the
So
item. Let me invite the electoral commissioner, Mr. Kwesi Okun, to.
Mr. President. Mr. President, I've had my hand up for quite a while, but it doesn't seem like anybody is.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. Accra, please go on.
I have a question for the headmistress.
Oh, we are finished with him.
Well, but this is important. I want the headmistress to comment about our year group, 65-year groups offering to the school the new kitchen.
Offering to the school what? New kitchen. I know you didn't know what.
The legacy project.
Yeah, what I know is that it is not fully completed and we cannot move the work on it has been done and we cannot use it as at now.
Accra, have you heard? It is not fully completed, and as soon as it is completed, we will use it.
I heard it, Mr. President.
Okay.
Okay, so that is information that we'll take to our year group to discuss, because I think the viewpoint is different from what our view is. So thank you.
I will ask the next OA president to investigate a report. I see another hand up under your school. Yadagba, do you have it?
If I do, and it's related to the elections. As I recall, my understanding is members in good standing are only the ones eligible to vote. However, we have all been given names to vote. I'm just trying to, before we call the EC, as the EC can tell us how the process is going to streamline to ensure that the votes that are being cast are cast by only those eligible to vote. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know anything about elections. Correct? Okay, so the electoral commissioner will sort it out. At this point, let me ask the current executive committee yeah. Okay. Looks like I'm in. Oh, Ivan, are you the highest group?
Yes,
it's not 5:30 years. You said you leave at 5:30, and I will drive you home. Don't worry. I will drive your car. Don't worry, you get to. Give us 10 minutes. We'll be out of it. I need a motion for us to authorize the executive committee to fix the auditor's fees. Accra had all these two moves together by I don't want to arrange it.
A second on the motion. Accra, the discussion.
Thank you very much. So that is done. Now the OA Executive Committee, as it is, was dissolved. No. So dissolved. What is it? After the election. Yes. All right. The track of the please come in.
So in the meantime,
So we are asking for you.
You don't have executive powers, I beg.
When there's no president and there's no vice president,
You don't have executive powers.
The information on the elections have been circulated very widely for a long time. And I hope all of you know who are vying for the various positions. We will vote for each of the positions and the persons that have put themselves forward for the position. Let me clarify one thing though. In all the positions, the people who have put themselves forward are unopposed. However, it is important that we do know that this assembly, including the people outside, do accept the nominations and vote for them. They may vote against them. Remember that. So please don't be too comfortable that you will be nominated. You may be voted against. We will do an electronic voting. Somebody just asked why she has received a link. Over the week, the Secretariat has been sending the link to those people who are fully paid up. However, we have had complaints from people that have not received the link for some reason. So this afternoon, they've sent the link widely. So maybe the lady who got it has a friend that also got it, and she knows that that friend is not fully paid up. However, the system we are using only allows fully paid members to vote. So it doesn't matter if you sit in Franchinico and you get the link and the voting starts. If you try to use it, it will not come through because the list of people who can vote has been predetermined by those people to whom the link was going to in the first place. So the wide dissemination of the information doesn't really matter. If you vote and you're not already on the list, it won't come through. I hope that's understood. And I hope the lady that spoke is listening. Okay, so we will go and we will vote for each person, starting from the president. No, starting with the president. What will happen is this. We will put the name and the position to vote. If you have the link, you will get it on your phone and you vote yes or no or you abstain. You can vote only once for each person. If you put yes and you try to put no, it will not accept. So think before you vote, because you can vote only once. When the voting, you vote, you get the link. As soon as we say we're voting for the president, the page on your phone will change to vote for the president. That is where you put the yes, no, or abstain. And as soon as you vote, that link will disappear and you'll get the number of votes that have been placed since you voted. You will get no names, you will not know where it came from, but you get the total tally from here, from abroad, from everywhere. That 50 people have voted for the president, 30 was for, 24 was no, and 10 was abstentions. And it will keep updating itself until I say that the voting is closed. At that stage, the tally we have is the final vote, except for one thing. We have received proxy votes. We actually sent out forms for people who can't be here to put in their votes. Normally the proxies would go to the president and he would add in the proxies at the end of the tally. At this stage, ladies and gentlemen, I am the president. So the tally for the, Lieutenant Arthur. The proxies will go to the managers we have here, and they will add on the proxy. I have a check here, so I know who the proxies are, because the forms are being kept by the Secretariat. Anybody who wants to check the proxies can check with the Secretariat. Are you holding proxies? You will have noticed that there was a closing time. I'm sorry, your time back.
Friday.
Proxies.
Proxies closed.
What time is it closed?
Friday.
The proxies closed on Friday.
Proxies closed.
Yes, they closed.
This was done before.
So you
You have
bring
to
the
submit
Secretariat.
it to Secretariat by Friday.
That's what I mean. So anyway, that is the rule. A proxy time is set so that the Secretariat can tabulate everything, which they have done and presented to me. That was closed on Friday. So we will proceed in the interest of time. I think you all have received the information on who is standing for what. We will start from the president. The candidate for the president. Well, before I do that, let me say that I will say that voting is now open. Then you look on your phone and do the business. When I think we've had enough time, I shall say the voting is closed. If you hear the voting is closed, that's it. We will start with the president. And standing for the president is Accra Joel Neti. Where is he? Accra Joel Neti. Although he's unopposed, I think you would like to know who he is. Most of you know him already. So just, no, it is not open because when I say the voting is open, that is when you see yes, no, abstain. At this stage, you have a vote, a page that says you have joined the voting process, or you have open. Yeah? That's correct. Okay, so start the president. And the nominee is Mr. Joel Neti. I think he's already bowed, so we can go ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, the vote for president, Mr. Joel Neti, is now open. Skeptics, please watch your phones. It should be open for everybody. You may vote just once. Yes, no, abstain. For all Accras who are voting outside, the process is exactly the same. You may vote now. Give it about 1 minute. Then it's finished.
It doesn't change, just reload.
Is there anybody whose page has not opened?
Yes, the Wi-Fi is reception.
Reception? Oh wow.
Refresh.
Well, I'm not sure. I It must be the system around here. Because on the system, 96 people have already voted. Well, they are in their homes, so they have 5. Yes, so you are one of the 96. The internet is a difficult thing. Don't stand there, move around small. I'm about to close. Ladies and gentlemen, don't sit exactly there, move around. You may get a better signal. There's a long, tall list. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting ready to close the vote. Ladies and gentlemen, the vote is now closed. What do you say? Ladies and gentlemen, on the vote for president, Radio Ghana, Okanya, and Manon Kenu. So, ladies and gentlemen, we had 114 votes voting yes. And on the proxies, we had an extra six proxies for Joel as president. So we have 122 votes voting yes, 0% voting no, 0.9% abstain. 0.9% abstain. Accra Joel Neti is duly nominated as to the vice presidency. And the first one we shall vote for is Akora Harold Eseku. The same process will be observed and utilized. So, ladies and gentlemen, the voting is now open for Harold Eseku as vice president. For those of you in the diaspora, the process is exactly the same. Vote yes, no, or abstain. Same link, the same link. Don't close your phone. Those of you who got the link but are not fully paid up, you will find that
you try to vote and nothing happens. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to close the vote. Accra, voting is now closed. Nominated Vice President for OAA, Accra Harold Eseku of 1988. And the results are as follows. 108 votes were recorded by 108 participants. Harold Eseku got also 6 proxies. And yes votes amounted to 93.5%. No votes, 1.9%. Abstentions, 4.6% is going up. However, Accra Harold Eseku is duly elected as Vice President. I'm sorry, I should have introduced Harold. Harold, take a bow. Right, so the same page on your phone, we now move to the treasurer. And nominated is Antoinette Kofi, Accra Antoinette Kofi as treasurer. Ladies and gentlemen, voting is now open. Yes, no, or abstain. I'm about to close the vote. Accra, the vote is now closed. The tally is going on in the background. Antoinette also has 6 proxies. And the results are as follows. The yes vote for Accra Antoinette came to 97.4%. The no votes, 0.9%. Abstentions, 1.7%. Accra Antoinette Kofi is duly elected as president. Thank you very much. So, same page, we go to the next one. And we are voting for members at this time. And we are putting up Accra Pam Buachi. Could you please stand up and be recognized? Yes. Same process for Accra Pam Buachi as a member of the council. Ladies and gentlemen, the voting is now open.
The vote is not coming through.
That's it.
Accra Electoral Commissioner, the vote is not opening for us.
Sorry. The vote for the members is not open yet. I was just conferring with the managers who have given me new rules. So please, everybody, please listen up, because it is different for the top executive. When I open the vote, you will see 10 names. You will see 10 names on your phone. You can only vote for 8 people. So if you don't like somebody, you don't have to say no this time. Because if you say no, you've used your vote. So vote for the 8 you want. Are we clear? Yes. Vote for the 8 you want.
Yes.
So do get ready. This has made things very short. Instead of going one by one like I was going, which is the way I know you do it. So ladies and gentlemen, you are voting for 8 persons. On the next page you will see. And Accra, the vote is now open. It's not. Try again, but it's the same process.
No, it's not open.
It's not open.
Electoral Commissioner, it's not open.
It is still not open.
Sorry?
It's not open.
Electoral Commissioner, the vote hasn't been open, but when I reflect it is thanking me for having voted in the election.
Obviously, we have a little hitch. So, do give me, ladies and gentlemen, the vote is suspended. Give me a few minutes, confer with the managers who are doing this in the background, and when they give me the go-ahead, I shall reopen the vote. So, those of you who have internet connections, it has also hit us. So, ladies and gentlemen, the vote is now reopened. The vote is now reopened. Accra Sarah, are you okay?
Yes, I'm okay. Thank you
very much.
Please, can we have the pictures on the screen, please? Can we have their pictures on the screen, please?
The pictures were sent earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. You have a maximum of 8. If you want to vote for only one, you are welcome. Hey, very interesting. It's moving around quite a lot. Can you see? Can you put this on? think that's still moving.
It's moving.
It's still moving.
It's still moving. It's still moving. It's still moving.
Yeah. Dela, you're holding us up. Dela, you're holding us up. It's still moving. You're not voting. Said Ogwena. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Accra, I'm about to close the vote.
It's still moving.
It's not moving.
No, you see, the internet can cause a delay. So I'm trying to see if it's not moving anymore, then we close. Because some voters' vote will take quite a while to get us. Ladies and gentlemen, the vote is now closed. We shall do the tally. Let's remove the button too. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find out. Who the button to. So, number is okay. The two don't make it. 8.5 and 8.6. Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, you notice I have not announced the votes. I was going to use it if there was a tiebreaker, but there isn't. So, the following Accras are hereby confirmed as members of the new committee. Accra Grace na Arana Nelson. Accra Kwambuachi. Accra Yawati. Accra Kojusaka Adomensa. Accra Yao Bene Amponsa. Accra Fafa Beho. Accra Barbara Okai Tete. And Accra Harold Richardson. The two who were not confirmed are Accra Ralph Tete Amlalo and Accra Kwame Nkrumah Botsio. And well, doesn't change it. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, for members, we have Accra Grace, Na Adan Nelson, Accra Kwambuachi, Accra Ya Boating, Accra Kodosaka Adomensa, Accra Ya Bene Amponsa, Accra Fafak Behu, Accra Barbara Okai Tete, and Accra Harold Richardson. Congratulations. You have been confirmed. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, my job has come to an end. And it's been possible only because of my technical crew from Jazz Technology. Jazz Technology. If you want to use them for any of these things like this, let the secretariat know and they'll make contact with them. They do this kind of voting business. No, there's no free everything in this world anymore. It is all under the president. Aha, it's all under free. So ladies and gentlemen, will the president please come up and accept it is my honor to congratulate Accra Joe. You notice I did not vote, although I have a vote. I would have voted for you. So congratulations. And you will then accept on behalf of your... I'm going too fast. I mean, I can finish your work. So I would like to thank the Electoral Commission. Yes, the Electoral Commissioner has brought innovation to the way. Now we have the most modern electoral system in among schools in Ghana. Thank you very much. I know someone is just going. I'm on the way. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we get to the final part of congratulating Joel and his team and so on, Accra Pastor Borden drew my attention to one thing that we should have done at the beginning of the meeting, but we didn't do, to observe a minute silence in honor of the late Accra Ben Folsom.
Ben Folsom.
Yes. Yes, the late Accra Ben Folsom. So if you stand up for just 1 minute, you will do that. He's a former OA president. He was very... Yeah. So, 1 minute silence in honor of Accra Ben Folsom. Dr. Ben Folsom. May the soul of Accra Dr. Ben Folsom and the souls of all the other faithful departed rest in peace and rise in glory. Amen. Amen. So, we've come to the end of the elections. As pointed out by the Electoral Commissioner, Accra Joel Nete has been elected as the new OA president. Accra Harold Isefu, please go. Has been please sit down. Accra Antoinette Kofi is the new, it's the old new treasurer. Where is she? Okay. And then we have the new executive committee.
I'm here, Mr. Chair.
You can hear everything in your car?
Yes, please. I'm on my way.
I think there are two new members, Papa Gbeho,
and then Arana Nelson. Who is that? Is it Nelson or? Sorry.
I am here, Mr. Ete. The name is Na Adwa, not Arana.
Hey, I see. So what about the wrong person?
Grace Na Adwa Nelson, not Grace Na Arana Nelson.
Grace Na Adwa Nelson. Okay. Which year?
Yes.
2011. Can you put your video on that to get your face? At least you need to know who are.
Yes. My face.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes. So we have Grace Nelson.
Hello, Agua. Congratulations.
Yes. You are.
Thank you.
It's down.